Louisiana's here. New Orleans is here. Okay, I got the notification. Recording is active. So for those of you, there are a lot of you here that are actually not in our Facebook group. So if you are not in our Facebook group, we do this every day. Well, not every day, every Tuesday. Every day we talk about something. But every Tuesday we have a segment called Let's Talk Tuesday, and we talk about things accounting, business, tax, and sometimes we talk about non-related things because, you know, I am a talker. So I dropped the link in the box. So if you are not in the group, be on a group, feel free to go ahead and join the group. Our moderators will let you in just so long as you answer the questions to get into said group. So for those of you that may still be on Facebook, if you see people posting they can't get in, if you could be so kind as to tell them to go ahead and register. Of course, there is no charge for this. We just talking because that's what us entrepreneurs do. We just talk on Tuesdays. We have Let's Talk Tuesday. So there is a slight delay between you hearing me and me seeing your comments. So I will awkwardly, intermittently pause sometime just so that you guys can catch up with me, okay? Or I can catch up with you. New York, Virginia, Dallas, Texas. Okay, so can you all see my screen okay? I asked that because I learned last week that when I look at my screen, I see this itty bitty thing, but you all can see my screen. So praise God, you can all see the screen. Some of you can see me too. All depends on what type of device that you're on. So today we are going to talk about how do I pay myself? If I had a dime for every time a business owner, not just childcare, all business owners, because we do serve other industries. We just specialize in childcare. That's one of our top specialties. So everybody asks, how do I pay myself? They ask, how do I know how much to pay? How do I know how much to pay myself? And when should I pay myself? Because some people think that there is actually a point in time when you shouldn't pay yourself. So we're going to try to answer that question. And we're also going to try to debunk some myths and put some of that false information that is floating out there to bed. So what are we going to cover today? Today are 3 topics of discussion. As previously stated, how do I pay myself? Should I be on payroll? And how do I decide how much to pay myself? Has anybody here struggled with these 3 questions? Has anybody wondered any of these things? I did post some questions in the Facebook group. Now, see, this is where I stall and give your comments a chance to catch up with what I'm saying. I did post several questions in the Facebook group. I got some really interesting responses. Some of our team members, some of our moderators, they cheated. They slipped in there. I try to delete the correct responses when I seen them because it's not really about us. It's about you, you know? So we're going to cover these 3 things today. That's what's on our agenda. And if at any time I start talking too fast for y'all, because I've been told I do that, just give me a slow down or give me a hand, give me a slow down. Okay, so we got a question right now. Miss Amanda, she says she doesn't know how to be on payroll as an LLC. Amanda, that I'm so glad you asked that question because we are going to talk about that today, okay? All right. How do I pay myself? Now, Amanda, you must have read my mind, or you can see that little itty bitty print on the side. How do you pay yourself? It's some factors that we need to consider. Number 1, if you are a sole proprietor, you do not belong on payroll. I do not care what ADP told you. I do not care what your tax preparer told you. Whoever told you that as a sole proprietor, you are supposed to be on payroll, they have told you incorrectly. Yes, you can call ADP up and ADP will answer you. Miss Shay down in Georgia, I don't know if you've experienced this. But basically the payroll company's job is to provide you payroll service. So if you call them and say, provide me this service for this person, one of the things that they will tell you is that they are not authorized to give you tax advice. And a good payroll company will tell you to contact your accountant to get the proper tax advice. So sole proprietors, it's in bold red, and it's in bold red for a reason. You should not be on payroll as a sole proprietor. Partnerships is more than one person. Maybe it's two, maybe it's three, maybe your partnership has 10 people. Guess what? Still shouldn't be on payroll, even if ADP puts you on payroll. Just because you do some things does not mean that you should do those things. Just because someone suggests that you do it, if they are not a person that specializes in tax, they can be telling you to do something that is detrimental to your business, your family, your livelihood, your financial position. So when they, Ms. Caprice, when they tell you you should be on payroll, why? Because I'm going to tell the truth and shame the devil. Part of the cost when we provide payroll service, part of the cost is in part based on the amount of people that are on payroll, the frequency, how many states are there, garnishments, all these other things should be on payroll. And Tanya, you bring up a good point. PPP has thrown a lot of salt in the game when it comes to payroll, accounting, tax, forgiveness. I know y'all about tired. I know I'm about tired. A lot of us about tired of hearing that word forgiveness. And the reason that we're tired is not because forgiveness is not important, but it is because a lot of these rules are still not clear. A lot of things that are supposed to happen that are actually written in law are going to change. I hear there's going to be a big change coming out Thursday. So that's why you have not heard me speak on it anymore since the last change when we were change. And that's because I never want to misinform, miseducate, or most of all, confuse anyone. And if all of the CPAs and attorneys in our network are waiting for further guidance, how can we expect the business owner to cipher and dissect? And sometimes people hear what they want to hear, just like with Idle. They heard everybody's getting $10,000. But the fact is, the way the law was written, it was always that it was up to $10,000. Now, there's some information I heard coming out where that may change, but, you know, wording is very important. And Caprice, I see your comments. A lot of people are considering returning their PPP. And I actually had some stuff lined up. I'm probably just going to put that on my YouTube channel so that my non-childcare business owners don't think that this is another one of my Shanita only daycare things, because it applies to anyone involved. So we didn't already cover sole proprietors should not be on payroll. Partnerships should not be on payroll. Now, S corporations, my favorite entity when it makes sense. I did not say everybody need to be an S corp. I said my favorite entity when it makes sense. Ms. Melba, you cannot hear us. Did you enable your audio? If you enable your audio, you should be able to hear us. And there will be a recording, because I believe I got it right this time. So I will upload it after the fact if it works. Fingers crossed. So S corporations. If you have an S corporation, and you are an owner of an S corporation, which is actually called a member, you belong on payroll, Ms. S Corp, Mr. S Corp. Even if your business is an LLC at the state level, if you were at the federal level in S Corp, you belong on payroll. And I done said it once, I done said it 100 times, I'm probably going to say it again. There is no such thing as a federal LLC tax return. If you find one, if you find the IRS.gov, Department of Treasury, has an LLC federal tax return, I want you to send it to me, and I will send you $500 to send me your cash app. You know why I'm willing to make such a bold statement? Because it don't exist. So when I talk to you all and we talking about getting your taxes done, that means nobody's going to tell me that they're an LLC for their federal tax return, because that isn't true, right? Pet peeve. S corps, not only do you as the owners, which you're called a member if you're an owner of an S corp, not only do you belong on payroll, but you were supposed to provide yourself, get this, y'all gonna like this word, a reasonable compensation. I'm gonna let that marinate for a minute. A reasonable compensation. Can anybody tell me what that means? Can anybody tell me what is a reasonable compensation? And I know I got to give y'all a minute because I'm on delay. See, while I'm waiting for y'all, I knew Facebook wasn't going to come through because it still didn't load yet. So I'm glad I trusted my first instinct. Okay, Amanda has a really good definition for reasonable compensation. Not going to say it's right, not going to say it's wrong, because I'm going to let someone else have an opportunity to answer. Amanda said market-based wage. I like that terminology. Shonda says more than minimum wage and less than being rich. I like that terminology too, because you know if someone's on payroll, that means you're going to pay payroll taxes. That's your Social Security, your Medicare, your state unemployment tax, all that good stuff. In some places, even workers' comp on yourself, depending on your business structure. Ms. Kiki said 5 figures. So guess what? I'm gonna let one more person. Okay, I like Ms. Lana. Ms. Lana said, what are you worth? I like that. I can't afford to pay myself a reasonable compensation if that is the definition, but I like that. All of these are super intelligent, thoughtful responses, and I see Ms. Joanne is typing. But guess what I'm going to tell y'all? What do y'all think the IRS defines reasonable compensation as? Oh, Joanne, you said a distribution. Honey, I'm sorry. You as an S Corp owner, you would need to pay you would need to pay a salary and then a distribution. And they don't tell you how much. Kushan, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly because I've said your name a few times. If I didn't, send me a voice message so I can say it correctly next time. People jack my name up, and I hate jacking other people's names up. But Kushan says comparable to others in the field. So Lana says, oh, I'm close. Close ain't good enough. Your mama didn't name you that, so I don't want to call you that. But I appreciate your understanding. Teresa said, so IRS has, yes, ma'am. She said, does the IRS have a say in owner payments? Absolutely. The IRS has a say in I'm saying in my Philly way, in everything that concerns your finances, okay? The IRS certainly has something to say about that. If you are an S corporation, they have a lot to say about it, in fact. So when we talk about S Corps on payroll and S Corp owners, the politically correct term is members, you have to be on payroll and you have to pay yourself a reasonable compensation. Now, the IRS did not clearly define what a reasonable compensation is. So how about that? This sounds like the PPP all over again. You need to follow my rules, but I'm not going to tell you what my rules are. So if you didn't study tax, if you didn't study accounting, how on earth are you supposed to follow these rules and they're not even written for you clear cut in black and white? Welcome to my world. But rest assured, there is some guidance where we can make some informed, educated analysis and decisions based on what reasonable compensation is. Now, we're not going to get all the way into defining reasonable compensation, but I will tell you, if you have an S Corp and you were taking all your money in distribution or most of your money in distribution, guess what? The IRS can come back, they can double back just like that, and they can reclassify and take that money, and it'll no longer be called a distribution, but now they're going to reclass it all to salary. And can anybody tell me what happens if they take your distribution and make it salary? What do you think happens to you? If that happens, what do you think happens to you? And if you are not attending our training this weekend, okay, Lana got it. Lana got it. She got it too quick. That's exactly what's going to happen. If you take it all as distribution, and if you get caught up, they will reclassify that as wages. And then, of course, you'll have to pay the employer taxes on it, which is 7.65% for the federal plus in the state. So I always round it up 10, 12%. Let's call it a day. Let's call it even. And you'll have to pay the employee taxes on it. So those of us with S corps, we want to be really careful with that. And we definitely, once you start having a profitable business, you definitely want to make sure you have a tax planning strategy in place. So Miss Etta wants to know, what's the distribution? I like that, Miss Etta. I'm putting the cart before the horse. If she doesn't know what a distribution is, I'm sure other people don't know what a distribution is. I'm going to tell you. A distribution is basically you distributing your money from your business into your pocket. And Brandy, that's my Philly accent. I've been asked that before. I am not saying escort. I promise you. I did not tell y'all I love being an escort. I'm actually saying S, like Shanita Corporation, for subchapter S of the IRS code. So I hope you got that. I'm not saying escort. I think it's funny because I talk to people all over the country, and I was doing a speech one day, and I went on for about 10 minutes about how we just love being escorts. And when we became an escort, it was the best thing ever. And it was a room full of men. And I'm in there telling these men that I'm an escort. No, I'm not saying escort. No, God forbid. I'm saying S corporation. But no fool, no fun, right? If you can't laugh at yourself, it's a sad day. So thank you for that little dose of humor. So if you are a C corporation is just a regular corporation. That's what we call it. We always give you the proper terminologies, but we will also talk to you in English, because in all you're getting, it's important that you get understanding. Now, a C corporation, if you are an owner of a C corp, you belong on payroll. If you are a C corp or an S corp, with your tax return, there's something called a balance sheet that gets filed. And there's this other form where we reconcile the differences between book and tax. These happen with these entity returns. So if you are filing your return as something other than a sole proprietor, your return is being filed, and then you're going to get some sort of form from your business that you are to file along with your personal tax return. You most absolutely need to be on payroll. And we see a lot of C corporations, regular INCs. We see a lot of these people that they want to run their life like they sole proprietors. Hold up. It's okay, Miss Brandy. I'm not an escort. I'm not an escort. It's okay. I'm glad you asked, because somebody's going to watch this on recording and not hear through my Philly accent the same way and think that's what I'm saying. Because this is like the second or third time somebody thought I was saying that. I think it's hilarious. Maybe I should learn to enunciate better, right? But if you are a C corp, you should definitely be on payroll, and you should not be doing none of this commingling. But we're going to talk about the commingling earlier. Somebody, Miss Hill, one of the Miss Hills earlier, she responded to one of the questions. I don't know if she's on here right now. And she said, no, that's called commingling. And I laughed and I said, your accountant, whoever he or she is, did an awesome job with you. Because Miss Etta don't like the C word. Y'all don't like the C word. So why y'all doing it? Okay. Nonprofits. If you have a nonprofit, and I talk a lot about nonprofits, right? Most of my nonprofit owners that we work with, they started their businesses with their own blood, sweat, tears, grit. They did it from the muscle. They did it for the love of it. They did it from the heart. And a lot of these people did this, and they did it with their own funds. And guess what? Minute you became a nonprofit, that ain't your business no more. And no, that is not proper English, but that is proper. That is proper facts. If you are a nonprofit, you belong on payroll. So if you are an S corp, C corp, or nonprofit, and you are not on payroll, you should probably talk about it. Whether it be with us or whether it be with another knowledgeable person in ADP, Paychecks, they don't offer tax advice. They just process payroll. And I can tell you that a lot of our clients use them. And they don't, from what I see, they don't pretend to be anything that they're not. So now, I done told you all about who shouldn't be, who should be, and you're like, okay, well, we cover some of this, and you're like, so okay, so what now? All right, now, structure. Should you be on payroll? That is going to depend on your structure. That means no one is going to book a discovery call with me and ask me, should I be on payroll? Because we now know that if you are a sole proprietor, you don't belong on payroll. If you are a single member S corporation, you don't belong. I'm sorry, single member LLC, you don't belong on payroll. Can someone please tell Miss Laverne in the comments? She needs to enable her audio so that she can hear, please. Thank you. So your structure is going to be dependent on whether or not you should be on payroll. So what applies to your friend may not be the same thing that applies to you when it comes to payroll. And I just want to throw this tidbit in while we're talking about payroll, right? Listen, now y'all know I like ProCare, right? But if you're doing your payroll through ProCare or some other, if you got a spreadsheet, if you on Paycheck City, yeah, I'm calling them out. If you are, even if you on QuickBooks, and I hate all things Intuit, QuickBooks, payroll, I'm sorry. I don't have a single solitary client that has not had an issue with that. We use it for our firm because we get it free. But that's the only reason why we use it, and we know how to use it. But structure. Do you have the proper structure to be on payroll? And what applies to your friend may not apply to you. It doesn't matter. Y'all both had the same size center, the same number of kids, the same tuition. What she eats may not necessarily make you full. See, I know where y'all thought I was going with that. I ain't gonna say that. So what we got going on in the comments, Miss Tina said if she and her husband are both on her LLC and she's the one actively working, does that mean you should be on payroll? It all depends. Let's go back to the first slide. We said, okay, let's go back, because if someone books a discovery call for this, I'm going to send you the slide. I'm like, can I call you right back? Check your email. So LLCs or partnerships, not on payroll, unless you make a separate tax selection, okay? Unless now, if you made a special tax selection to be taxed as an S corporation or as a C corporation, you must certainly be on payroll. Remember, LLC is a state designation. It's not a federal designation. Remember, whoever finds me an LLC federal tax return gets a $500 cash app. I don't have $500 to throw away. I'm only putting my money where my mouth is because I know it don't exist. That's how I gamble. I gamble when I know I can win. So we got something else going on. Okay. Miss Ange said, does it matter if it's salary versus hourly? I'm assuming that's related back to when I talked about how C Corps, S Corps, and nonprofits entities belong on payroll. No, it does not matter if it's salary or if it's hourly. It just matters that the payroll, really all they care about is that the payroll taxes are paid. That's the whole reason why the feds designed this rule, because they want these payroll taxes. I don't know. Can I make this bigger? See, here I go clicking buttons again. Someone, Ms. Dana said, does that mean your structure is wrong? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know I don't know what your structure is. I don't know who set it up. I don't know if you're on payroll or not. But I can tell you, if you're a sole proprietor or you're just an LLC being one or more members and you're on payroll, you shouldn't be on payroll. I can tell you that without looking at anything. Oh, thank you, Miss Tanya. She gave her life. Oh, I didn't say all of that. She said, you just gave me life. We got to stay on our lane, especially with business. But, you know, I don't want my clients to stay, quote unquote, in their lane. See, when you go into business, your lane is your business. So we want to empower and educate you so that you, number one, understand what's going on. Because get this, if my clients don't make money and my clients aren't able to be in business, where do you think that leave me? Now, I'm not without hope. I'm not a pity with a hole in it because I have a CPA. There's not a CPA in any one business, but still, when people get with us, the first thing we tell them is we can help you do anything. There's only two things we will not help you do. Number one, we will not help you fail because we are winners and we want to be surrounded by winners. The other thing we will not help you do is we will not help you go to jail because I ain't going. No, people my height don't fight. We ain't going to jail. So we can help you do anything but two things. We ain't failing and we ain't gelling. We ain't doing that. So I done got myself lost in the sauce of the comments. But I'm scrolling along. Miss Capri said that she was told speak to your accountant, and she's caught up with PPP and payroll forgiveness. Okay, I did read that already. See, I don't know why they advanced down, just to confuse me. Okay. Dana asked, do you need to think about restructuring in order to pay yourself? That all depends. That's really a conversation that would happen while you're doing your accounting every month. Because I know we're all doing accounting. I'm not even gonna get into that with y'all unless y'all start asking me. If y'all start asking me, I'll start telling you. But that's the conversation that you're gonna look at when you're doing your accounting every month. When you're looking at what your net profit, your taxable income is, what you're projecting that you're going to make, what your tax structure is going to be, that's the time when you will look to see if you need to do any type of restructuring. And the other thing about restructuring that I want to caution you all is you don't want to restructure just because of a one-time thing, something that happened in 1 year. Even if it means you're going to pay more tax in 2019 than you would if you restructure, because some moves that you make, you can't just undo. So you have to think about the long game. You have to make an educated decision. And I tell people, listen, I could get it down to this and we could do that, but I don't think that's best for you overall. The only reason I bring it to them is because, like I said, we like our people to be educated, equipped, and informed. Get into talking about restructuring. Make sure you truly understand the implications if you restructure, what that means, what it's going to do for you, and what that's going to mean for your future. And typically, if you don't owe, now I'm going to put another general blanket statement out there. Oh, I got to give you all my disclaimer. At no time should anything that you hear come out of my mouth be construed as legal advice or even accounting advice unless we are actively engaged to work together and we are speaking specifically about your situation. Even if I'm responding to you on here and we do work together, I'm speaking in general because I will not disclose your whole setup or your whole situation to the masses. So, Ms. Laverne, that kind of goes into what I said, that if you want to be on payroll, you'll definitely want to make sure that it makes sense for you to be on payroll. When the Tax Cut and Job Act was rolled out by President Trump in 2018, a lot of people that I would have said, yeah, girl, be an S corp, that changed and it shifted things a little bit. So before you go get on payroll, there are other ways that you can pay yourself that we'll talk about. And I don't know anything about your situation. I'm just saying that you want to make sure that's what you really want to do before you make that leap, because it's levels to this. New levels, new devils, is requirements that you have to fulfill. Okay, so Amanda, she's a single member LLC, SMLLC, okay, using Gusto. I don't know if it's Gusto or Gusto. I just say Gusto. I don't know. They never correct me. Every time I say it one way, they tell me I say it wrong. But I do like Gusto. We have a referral link for Gusto if anybody is interested. That's how much I like it, that I actually refer it to people. some of the people that we work with. I have them she has them do a set deposit amount twice a month, but there's no taxes taken out. They do take taxes out for the employees. Is that okay? Amanda, if it's okay, it all depends on what your structure is. I don't know what your structure is. So it could be fine if you're a sole proprietor, meaning if you're a single member LLC or multi-member LLC and you're not an S Corp, C Corp, or nonprofit, or it could be really bad if you are an entity. So that's going to depend. Ms. Tanya said, meaning if I want a family childcare, if she runs a family childcare, I can't compare myself to friends, daycare centers, same care. Yes, you should not compare yourself to different. Well, first of all, the quickest way for us to get disappointed in business and life is to compare ourselves to anybody else. Now, part of what we do with our CFO level clients is we do a level of benchmarking. And what benchmarking is, that actually is a comparison where we'll look at what other entities are doing, what are their numbers looking like on a percentage or ratio based type of analysis, just to see where you playing out. But when it comes time to taking tax advice or accounting advice, I use the same old analogy. It's kind of like when you go to the doctor because you had a toothache or something and you got that antibiotic and you had some pills left. And then a little while later, someone else, they had the same thing. You're like, oh, girl, that's the same thing I had. Let me get you some of this. And you share your medicine with them. But the thing about it is, because I don't think anyone on here is an MD or a DO or CRNP. We that ain't our lane. The thing about it is, if you share that drug, if you share that prescription with them, and they got something else going on you don't know about, or they taking something else, they could have what they call a mixed medication interaction. And somebody very near and dear to my heart actually died from that. But they could have a mixed medication interaction, and that could be detrimental to them. Same thing with accounting advice. You go listening to what some CPA, some tax person, some EA, or whoever, or what Google said, or the girl on YouTube said, and you apply it to you. If it is not the right dose for you, it could hurt you. Okay. Angela says I was told to have to transition from board president to executive, nonprofit. So that's what's ever going on in the bylaws of your nonprofit that's going on. Yeah, Antoinette, people my height don't fight. I am 5'0". I was 4'11" for like 3 years, and something happened. I mean, for all these years, and like 3 years ago, I started measuring at 5 feet. I said, to God be the glory. How do you know, Shatara says, when you should switch from an LLC to an S Corp? Don't worry about typos. I get typos. I do them all day. That's a decision that you would need to make with your accountant when you're doing tax planning, when you're looking at all of your numbers, when you're looking at your profit and loss, when you're looking at your projections. Because remember I said, we don't want to make decisions that's good for right now if it's not good for the long haul. So that's a decision that you will, an informed decision you would want to make. So that's really going to be very specific on all of your personal numbers. Yes, Laverne, you need to have a conversation with your accountant. And she says she don't seem to ever really get an answer. It's so complicated and become a headache. Now, see, if I was petty, I would say, well, it sounds like you need a new accountant, but I'm not petty. So what I am going to say is that you should probably ask the question when you talk to your accountant. You should probably just start out with, I don't understand. I really would like to understand. When should I do this? Or should I do this? Or is this good for me? Or is this not good for me? Because I will tell the truth. And this is why I try to just be like super real with everybody I come in contact with. With one thing that accountants do is, and I don't know if you did this, one thing that accountants sometimes do is they get really busy and they all get really busy during the same times. And if they have been waiting for some reason for information from you, or maybe they got something else going on, this whole PPP and idle thing, and I'm not making excuses for your accountant. I don't know them. I just run with a group of about 1,000 accountants in our organization. And I will tell you that sometimes when we speak, sometimes we can forget who we speaking to, and we'll answer questions and it might not be clear. And that's why I always tell my people to say, why? I don't understand. Because if you're not getting a clear answer, I had this boss, he used to say, and this was his process, he said, always ask why 5 times. If you ask why 5 times, if they say, if you say to them, should I be an S corp? And they say, well, it all depends on your revenue. Why? Well, it because your revenue is going to dictate why. You know, that's not being a pain in the butt. It's not being rude. It's just that if your accountant is an accountant, they became an accountant because they took all this training. They have education. They do continuing education. So it comes second nature to them. But this doesn't come second nature to anybody that's not, well, some people it do, but most people it don't. And all of the people that we work with are intelligent. They sharp. So I'm used to getting really good questions from really smart people, but I try to keep everything on a 5th grade level, just because accounting is the business language. It's his own language. So it's nothing I can, so you'll just want to make sure that if you're not getting clear answers, to just keep asking why. Ask to book a call at a time that's good for them so that they can walk you through it and explain it to you. And after you had that conversation with them, it should pan out. Stacy wants to know, as an S corp, is it better to take a reasonable salary and a distribution or just a higher salary and no distribution? Well, Stacy, I appreciate that under all circumstances you have to take a salary. I am going to give you the number one accountant answer, and I'm going to tell you it depends. It depends on what your goals are. It depends on why you want to take the higher salary. Some people want to take the higher salary because they want to pay higher taxes because they think that's the way to not get a big tax bill at the end of the year. Some people want to take a higher salary because they want to keep more money in their pocket. So I will tell you that the higher the salary you take, the higher the employer taxes that you're going to pay. And you want to make sure that the way the IRS looks at it when they go back to reclassify people, they always expect you to have taken a salary before a distribution. So you can't say, well, I'm going to take all distribution and then I'm going to just go here and pay myself $5,000 and I done took $150,000 in distribution. That's a surefire way to get everything reclassified. I have seen that happen before. Okay. How do I decide how much to pay myself? Another question that we get a lot of. Brandy, I think I really truly believe that this is recording. And if this is recording, I will upload the video later so that you can listen. Angie, is there a difference between taking a quarterly salary, monthly or weekly? Nope. Long as that salary get there. For state purposes now, I don't know what state you in. I don't know if you're in the state that doesn't have income tax. I wish I was. I actually wanted to move to Texas or Florida just for that. But anyway, if you take the salary quarterly, weekly, monthly, it doesn't matter. But for state purposes, when you pay into unemployment, the way the quarters are set up, if you take it lopsided and uneven, it can affect your unemployment. It can affect your unemployment if you ever need to get unemployment. So like we live in Delaware, and in Delaware, I have to pay unemployment for myself, even though I own the business. And if I make it uneven and something like COVID happened, what's going to happen is I'm not going to get the maximum unemployment that I would get if they go looking at my quarters and it's all lopsided and uneven the way it works. So that's another reason why you do want to have a method behind the madness. You want to have a plan. Because somebody tell her to check somebody said the gear icon or something. Thank you. How much did you pay yourself? Does anybody have a good formula for how much they pay themselves? So a lot of people take a whole lot of different approaches to how they're going to pay themselves. Some people will do a percentage of profits. Some people will take a regular rate. Some people will take the market rate. But however much you decide to pay yourself, you want to make sure that you can afford to pay yourself. If you are paying yourself and you are on payroll, this is where it gets a little sticky, and you are borrowing money because y'all know I'm always talking about the daycare and mafia loans, right? But if you are borrowing money to pay yourself or to pay yourself back, and you're paying 30%, 40% interest on that, you really need to go over those financials and take a good look at it. But there's some other reasons why you want to pay yourself besides the IRS. It's more important reasons than the IRS. Actually, they the least of your concern. Well, maybe not the least, but they're not the most important. If you pay yourself, it's going to reduce the likeliness, Miss Etta, of commingling. So if you're not paying yourself and you have no other income coming from any place else, you almost have no choice but to commingle your spending. Because otherwise, how you going to eat? How you going to get gas? How you going to take care of your own personal living expenses? So you need to pay yourself. You ladies and gentlemen, you work really, really hard, and you need to be paid. I'm not saying you need to overpay yourself, but you definitely need to make sure that you're paying yourself. If you're not paying yourself, that's when you start commingling. Oh, I don't have the money to pay my car note. Oh, I don't have the money to pay my electricity. Or I don't have the money to do this and do that. And I'm just going to swipe the business card. That's how you get in that web. And then the next thing we start talking about is, oh, I got enough money to pay the payroll, but I don't have enough money to pay the payroll taxes. And, oh, I don't have this. Okay, so when you don't pay yourself, it's kind of like a spiral of events. And then when you got all of those comminglements going on, yeah, I made that word up. Just for you, Miss Etta. Because I know she doesn't like it when I say that word. When you have all this commingling going on, what's going to happen is you will end up, if you were to ever get audited, you'll be more likely to fail the audit. Because the auditor will say, okay, you have all these expenses and most of these are personal. How do I tell the personal from a business? One of the favorite audit cases that I studied was of a person. It was one of the favorite childcare cases that I studied. It was actually a childcare owner who was asked in the audit to provide the grocery expenses for her personal life because the auditor wanted to understand if you paid all of this for the daycare, what did you pay for yourself? She couldn't produce them. Not because she was shady or doing something wrong, but she never knew that she needed to save them. And when you get audited, that's what they want. They want to see receipts. But if you're paying yourself, they're not going to see all of the personal things that you do coming out of your business bank account. So you will be more likely to succeed and be able to stand in the case of an audit. So how do you manage all of this? How do you know, like, how do I pay myself? What's too much? What's too little? S Corp, C Corp, all these words. Oh, or my favorite, I'm going to be a nonprofit because nonprofits don't pay tax. That is the worst reason to become a nonprofit. I got a whole video on nonprofits in the group. Please do not fail to watch it. You definitely want to get and you definitely want to get an accountant. Miss Etta, it sounds like I need to come up with something to help my commingling crew. Yeah, the commingling crew. I think I do. You are not alone. You were just one of the few people that are brave enough, and one of the few people that are honest enough to tell the truth and shame the devil. And the only reason I keep shouting you out is because you are so real with us and we appreciate you. We do not think you are bad. And your struggle is a real struggle that a lot of people face. So you are not alone. No, that's not a good thing, Miss Editor Co-mingling. We're gonna get together, the co-mingling crew. We're gonna put something together so we can stop it. Rosie says if she's understanding correctly, even if she pays herself, yes, ma'am. No. If you pay yourself and if you're keeping good books and accounting for your business, you do not need to keep all of your personal expenses. But if you were in a child home care, I suggest that my child providers do keep this, because those are the situations where I've seen people take the biggest hit. And it makes sense that they want to mess with the homes harder than they mess with the centers, because if you're running a child care in your home, there's no reason why you're not profitable. If you bump up a home child care and you put it next to a medium-sized center and you take away all the numbers and you just look at percentages, that home is going to be more profitable every single time. And that's just because so many of your expenses, your personal life, is intertwined with your business life, and it gets to be written off. That's why so many of our people that we've helped go from home to center, that's why so many of them keep the home indefinitely, or they keep the home until the center is able to stand, because there's no reason why you can't make money in a home daycare. Unless you don't want to. I mean, there are some challenges, enrollment, this whole COVID thing, but there are some challenges, but it's easier to be profitable in a home daycare than in the center. So the next thing we need to talk about is, how do you determine how much you can afford to pay yourself and how much can you afford to pay others? Because it is very difficult. I don't know about y'all, but I have a goal to have $1 million all in my possession, all at one time. Of course, if you're as young as me, because I'm a young girl, despite what my kids say. But if you're close, now my husband, and he across the room rolling his eyes at me. But if you are, a nice aged adult, such as myself, and you have worked for a number of years, I'm pretty sure that you have had $1 million in your lifetime, right? My goal is to have $1 million in my lifetime at one time. So even if it's just for a minute and I go spend it, give it away, whatever. But in order to do that, in order to reach this goal, you have to understand how much can you pay yourself, how much can you pay other people. And it's going to be very difficult in childcare to make $1 million if you don't have other people working with you. I have never met a childcare provider that made $1 million working by themselves. It's impossible. So to do this, you must have a solid understanding of your numbers. You should have cash flow projections and budgeting in place. You should be able to know how much you can pay yourself. If I were to ask you right now, what's your profit this year? How much do you think you owe in taxes so far? If you don't know, you might want to reverse, rewind, repeat. Take a look, recalibrate, take a look at everything that you've been doing so that you can understand. Now, this whole little pandemic, this has messed up a lot of projections, a lot of budgeting. But I'm going to tell y'all a secret. A lot of people, especially if you're state funded, have more money today in their business than they had 3 months ago. I'm going to say that again. A lot of people have more money today than they did 3 months ago in their business, right? So now you have this money, you have this opportunity. So you're not thinking about, you're thinking about your contingency plans and how am I going to open safely and what's going to be our new rules and our new mix and all those things. What do I need to do to keep my children, my staff, and myself safe? But you're not worrying about this part of it. If you have a budget, you need to rethink the budget. It's going to be a state-by-state situation of who's allowed to open at full capacity. Some states are saying that providers will only be allowed to open at like 30% or something like that. So you're going to need to take a look at your numbers. You can't just pull numbers out your head. You can't just say, well, I think I'm going to get this. And okay, well, I know I'm not going to get the food program because I'm not open and I'm not doing the pickup thing where you're feeding the community. You really need to know your numbers. If COVID hasn't taught us anything as far as business goes, it should have taught us that we have to know our numbers. And I'm not going to beat y'all up today because that's coming. As soon as we all get out of this alive and well, it's coming. And I might talk about it with the co-mingling crew first. But you really need to have an understanding of your numbers. When you look at your financial statements, if you don't know what they are, that's fine. A lot of people don't. Or maybe you have them. Maybe like Ms. Laverne was saying, sometimes us accountant folk can get to talking and you don't know what you don't really understand. Or we saying a whole lot, but not saying anything that maybe resonates within you. You need to understand. So what we decided to do, because we see a need, and everybody is not going to have an accountant, and that's fine. But what we decided to do to help the community is we decided to ensure that everybody should know basic terminology. They should understand the way their statements work if they're in business. Even if you have an accountant, you should still understand what you are looking at. And with tax returns, my people will tell you, you do not get to sign your tax return until you understand what you're signing. Because we have seen crazy tax returns come to us from people that are new people for last year or this year. And when I ask for things, oh, well, last year you had this, and this happened last year. Is the same thing going to apply this year? They don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Not because they slow, but because they had no clue what was going on, didn't understand how to read it. And all you're getting, get understanding. That's very important. So if you don't have understanding of your financials, if you don't have financials, if you don't even know what the heck that means, you are welcome to join us this Saturday. We'll be doing a training on healthy daycare financials. The training is actually going to be part of a much larger course, a much larger, robust course, sort of kind of like an accounting for business owners. And the price is going to reflect that when it goes up. It's gonna be probably 10 times as higher when we actually roll it out. But I decided that because all my other clients give me so much slack about all I do for daycares, I can't prove them wrong, right? So I'm gonna roll this out to my child cares first, to make sure you all have what you need and you all understand. So Karan just dropped the link in the comments. If you have not registered and would like to register, you can go ahead and drop the registration link. I do have a few more slides. Those will be fun. And I see I do have a couple questions. Antoinette said, as an LLC classified as a partnership, we don't go on payroll. Yes, ma'am. So the profit loss between the partners are split as income. Absolutely. On your K-1. If you are a partnership and you all are filing 2 Schedule C forms, please stop. If you are a partnership and it is set up that way, and you have an IRS EIN letter, and in the middle of it, it says you should be filing a 1065, which is the partnership form, or an 1120, which is the C Corp form, and you don't do that, you're going to get penalized out the wazoo for not filing that 1065. It's $210 per partner per month for every month or a part of a month that it is not filed. And Antoinette, I'm not saying that you didn't file. I see that a whole lot. 2 partners, oh, well, I'm going to take my money, you take your money. Nope. If it's an entity, a partnership, it needs to be filed on a partnership return. And then each partner gets a K-1, and that goes in addition to their 1040. Ms. Etta said, okay, I'm going to ask again, what's the difference between a distribution and payroll? A distribution, now I'm going to use some bad terminology, but it's just to make sure y'all understand. Everybody understand that? Y'all understand that, right? So what I'm about to say to you, don't go back and say the CPA said this. A distribution, Miss Edit, is like an owner's draw for a S corporation. It's like an owner's draw. It's like, not is, because it's different entity, different terminology. So a distribution, you're not paying employer tax, the Social Security, and the Medicare tax on it. You're just paying income tax on it. But on payroll, you're paying income tax, you're paying Social Security, you're paying Medicare. And then as the employee receiving the payroll check, you're paying Social Security, Medicare, federal employment tax, depending on what state you in, you paying state employment tax, so on and so forth. So that's the difference. And that's why the government is not okay with you taking distributions and not paying salary. Because they do not want to miss out on that tax money. So that's why they have it set up that way. So we got the link posted for anyone interested in joining us this Saturday. And so now I wanted to get to some of the questions. So the questions were fun. I enjoyed seeing your responses. So I just popped them on here so we can talk about them. I want to give you the answers to the true and false. I don't want to just leave it out there and have anyone come along and post something incorrect and, it's not correct. So I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. The first one, as soon as you're ready to pay yourself, all you need to do is call your payroll company and add yourself. Is that true or false based on everything we said today? If you want to pay yourself, all you need to do is call ADP, Paychecks, Gusto, Payroll, and pay yourself. And I'm going to let 3 answers appear since I got a crazy delay. Y'all probably answered me before I even said it. Okay. So we have 3 false. Oh, we got a lot of falses. False is correct. That is not all you need to do to be on payroll. Antoinette, yes, you need to make sure you understand. Very good. Another one. Number 2. It's best for LLC owners to be on payroll so that they can pay into the system all year and owe less tax at the end of the year. So this question is best for LLC owners to be on payroll so they can pay into the system all year and owe less tax at the end of the year. And I can't tell where the last comment started, and these comments starts off a little bit of dots in between myself. Okay. I have mixed answers on this. Some people say false. One person says true. I am going to say false. You know why? Because remember on slide number, see, I really want this to stick, right? LLCs with no election, not on payroll, okay? So if you have not made an election to be taxed as a C Corp or as an S Corp and you're just an LLC, you should not be on payroll. If that's, that should not be your tax strategy to owe less money in taxes. And that is a tricky one. Even some of our accounting coaching students get mixed up on that one. That one is a tricky one. Because it could be true if your LLC is taxed as something else. But I'm just talking about a straight LLC. So I'm putting some dots so I can go with number 3. If I use my business bank account to pay my personal mortgage, buy groceries for my house, get my hair and my nails done, that doesn't count as paying myself because I never took cash out. Is that statement true or false? If I take my business bank card and I buy my groceries, I get my hair done, my nails done, and I even go into the bank and I transfer to pay my mortgage from my business bank account. I like Miss Jones. She said, no, don't do it. Yes. Okay. The answer to that is false. It does count. If you are doing these things with your business bank account, even if you aren't paying yourself, that is being considered as money that you paid yourself. And when we do this, this is part of the reason why we can't afford to pay ourselves. We can't pay ourselves because we've been paying ourselves all month unofficially. And then we get angry and we feel like our business is failing and we need to go out of business and this ain't working no more. All these things that we go through, a lot of these things, retracting it, a lot of the problems that we face as business owners, a lot of them stem from commingling, and even more of them stem from just not having a financial system or a tax planning system in place and not having the education. And by education, I don't mean going to go get a bachelor's, associate's, master's certificate. I don't even mean that. I mean not understanding what those financials mean, not understanding what those numbers mean and those reports mean, and just signing that tax return at the end of the year because you went to Miss Shanita for 55 years, and I ain't 55 years old, but you went to Miss Shanita for 55 years and you trust her, so you just gonna sign whatever she say. No, not today. Okay. So now I'm gonna ask another question. I think we only have 2 more questions. If you are unsure how to pay yourself the first year in business, you should just spend whatever you have left over in the bank account at the end of the month, and then you can start to pay yourself when you become more profitable. What do y'all think about that? Is that true or false? You just started, you don't know what to do, you don't know how much you're gonna make, you don't know how you should pay yourself, but you got this money sitting in the bank account, so why not just spend that money, and then when you start to make more money, you just go hook up with ADP and go get your LLC on payroll, like they're gonna tell you to do. See, my heart is proud. Everyone said false. That is false. You never want to deplete your business bank account, and that's one of the things that we work with our people on. You don't want to deplete that business bank account because your business needs to be a standalone thing. Now, I'm not talking about these COVID crisis days. I see people on 2 different spectrums. Some are doing way better financially than they were before COVID, and other people are hurting because of COVID. COVID is a beast, is a monster in and of itself. Desperate times sometimes call for drastic measures. So what I'm saying to you is this is not a COVID call. We won't be having a COVID call until Congress gets done going back and forth. Because they want you to follow the rules, but they keep changing them. So you don't want to do that. Even if it's your first year in business, you don't want to, do that. And just the memo, I know I said I wasn't going to go into COVID, but if you were in business last year, and this hurts a lot of people that started this year, but if you were in business last year, it is possible, you want to check with your state unemployment board, it is possible that you may qualify for unemployment or at least partial unemployment benefits. It is possible that you may qualify for PPP. I can tell you the Cross River Bank is still lending, and you would, if you need assistance with that, they are pretty good, and you could reach out to your accountant. So those are just some things that I know that I just wanted to toss out there for you. And my final trivia question. I thought I had one more. I did. Okay. Final trivia question. If I give my children money from my business, it doesn't count as my pay because I didn't get the money myself and I didn't put the money in my business bank account. Is that true or false? John, why are you laughing? Don't be laughing at my friends. It's a legit, listen, these questions that I asked today, I did not make any of these questions up. Oh, Angela, I wouldn't say it's an embezzlement. Well, if it's a nonprofit, that's possible, yeah. But I didn't make any of these questions up today. All of the questions that I posted for you today, are real living, breathing questions that I have been asked by real living, breathing people. And none of these questions are old. These are all recent questions that we field every single day with people that are asking questions about how to pay themselves and things of that nature. And I have this entity, I have that entity. And it's really important to me that people understand this, because when you go and you set up your daycare or childcare, academy, preschool, learning center, whatever your business is, when you set up your program, you may or you may not get some financial training, but for the most part, when people sign up, they're primarily given training on what the state requirements are, what their ratios should be, safety measures. They might talk a little bit about curriculum, but nobody's explaining to you why you need a balance sheet. Nobody's telling you that the income statement is not the most important financial statement in your business. Nobody's explaining that everybody should not be on payroll. Nobody's people, or maybe they are telling everybody these things, and then when they come to me, they're just telling me that they're not told. Maybe that's what's happening. But I refuse to believe that this many educated people don't understand, or I refuse to believe it. And I got tired of it because I'm seeing too many people be hurt too badly from being misinformed and ill-advised. And even a lot of times when people, everybody gets that one call with us when they download the ebook, I spend a lot of time talking to people, telling them things that I've answered over and over again, and I've talked about in the Facebook group and everything. And I really want you to get like the most benefit and the most value when we talk. So I'm telling you now, so we can talk about something else, something else that might help you. So my goal is to make an impact, to empower. I'm a strong believer of education. If it had not been for education, there's no way I would have went to the levels that I'm going to, because I ain't arrived yet. I'm on my way though. So I know that. And I know that a lot of it is rooted in early childhood education, because my early childhood educator, she taught me how to learn. And she also taught me how to teach. So that's why this kind of has a near and dear place in my heart, despite all the slack I get from my other business owners. And Ms. Lana said, yeah, well, I don't know. Like, I have a few clients that actually went to college for the part of their degree, their early childhood degree. Part of it had a financial component in it. So some of them, when they got their training and they got their credits, they did get it. But it's like anything that we're not, that's not our thing. I'm a triple business major. I had 3 business degrees and a concentration in accounting with the CPA license. So when I was sitting in my marketing classes, yeah, I took it, and yeah, I understood, and yeah, I passed, but I didn't care about that, because that's just the fluff they making me take. And sometimes I think when we're taking other programs, sometimes the accounting will fall by the wayside. So it's not just child care providers. I see it with my contractors. I see it with my home health care people. I see it with my truckers. I see it with everybody. It's not just you. I'm just speaking to you right now. So don't feel like, oh, it's just us. No, it's not just you. It happens to everybody. And then Lana said, they're not discussing this. This is when some lose their business. Yes, I see people lose their businesses. I've seen people lose their families, lose their savings, their retirement, their children education. I've seen divorces, all this because somebody didn't know how to read a financial report or a financial return, or they didn't have one. No, the husband didn't come home and say, I'm leaving you because your bank account not reconciled. But the financial strain that it has put on some families, I have seen that happen. That's real. I'm sorry. That's real rare. I've seen people get sick. I've seen people, really hurt themselves. you know, or not intentionally, of course, but really get hurt as a result of these finances. And Teresa said, you must have an interest in the material. Don't always think we need it other than to get the credit hours. Yeah, I took a lot of classes like that too. But you hear, sometimes, see, everything ain't for everybody, right? You might not have been interested when you heard your professor teach it, or whoever, your whatever. But if it's presented to you on another level, and it's not your accountant talking down to you, or it's not somebody that just can't relate to your situation, or they beating you up because you in a commingling crew, but they don't understand. They don't take the time to understand why is Teresa commingling. And I don't know if you commingling. I just ain't want to call out the commingling crew again. But why is this person commingling? If they don't even take the time to understand the way the business works, the way ratios work, the way state payouts work, and all these things, they can't possibly be able to help you. Or if they're beating you up and making you feel guilty, then you kind of turn off. We get like the kids, when you tell the kid, no, stop, don't do that, that's not nice, we don't hit our friends, all them things, and then they just stop listening to you, when them little eyes just go off into the distance. We do the same thing. And if you catch somebody talking to you in a way where you can't relate, challenge them. If you know your stuff and you're professional, say it another way so I can hear it, so I can understand it. So again, I'm going to go ahead. If anybody wants to book a quick call to talk about anything, we do have a link for a discovery call. A discovery call, we just discover what's going on with you, what we can do to help you, if we can help you, or maybe we can help you by referring you to someone else. These discovery calls should not, is not a good use to ask how to start a daycare. We do not start daycares. We do not provide marketing services. We do not provide legal services. And on a discovery call, we can basically get a feel for where you are, where you want to go, and if we think that we're the people to help you get there. So that is the link for the discovery call that Karan just put in the link. Also, the agenda for our training class this Saturday, if you have not had a chance to register, we are going to take it down a little bit ahead of time just so that we can make sure we have an accurate head count, and we'll know how many people are actually going to be on the call so that we can be prepared. But these are the topics that we're going to be covering. We're going to talk about what are financials. We're going to talk about why do you need them? How can you tell if they are healthy? What are some good practices? What are some bad practices? We're going to talk about how you can develop a healthy path moving forward. We're going to talk about what is the balance sheet, okay? So many people don't know what the balance sheet is. So many people don't care about the balance sheet, but the balance sheet is my favorite financial statement because it is so neglected and it tells so much and it's so important. And we really all need to know what it is. We're also going to talk about how do you properly read an income statement. A lot of people think reading the income statement, I look at the bottom number, that's all I need to know. No, by the time you get to the bottom number, you'd have missed it all. I also want to make sure everyone understands why your profit, what you were taxed on, is different than what's sitting in that bank account. Nobody's is the same. Never, ever, ever. It's never the same. So I want to make sure you all understand that. So that class is this Saturday at May the 16th at 1 o'clock. So if you're interested in registering, you can go ahead and register. There will be a recording afterwards for participants only, and the recording will be posted. I think it's going to be posted for, I think it's like 24 or 36 hours or something like that on the platform. So it will not be up indefinitely, and it will not be in the Facebook group because the course is going to be built out into a longer course. So we're not going to put it up. Somebody said when you set up an intro call, is it going to be with me or who? So if you book a discovery call, you will probably speak with me if you have a center. If you are a home child care provider, you will probably speak to the other CPA on my team, Miss Jacqueline. She's not on the call right now, I don't think. But you will probably speak with her because she deals more with our home child care centers. I specialize in the actual facilities more so. But sometimes I take the home calls depending on how the schedule is lined up. But we all work closely together. So who you meet with is really going to depend on what day it is, what we have going on that day, and what type of childcare that you have, so that we can operate most effectively. So does anybody have any other questions? I don't know why I told myself that we was going to be done in a half hour. Okay, Miss Etta has a home and a center. Okay. So if you have a home and a center, or if you have location 1 and location 2, one thing I really would like to see you all begin to do is look at your profitability separately for each, because you need to know how much, location A is making, how much location B is making. Is location B carrying location A? What's working well? So first and foremost, I just want to see that you're tracking. But then once you get to doing that, I would really like to see everybody get more into the meat of it so that you can do some deeper analysis and be overall profitable in your business. Because you can't grow what you don't know. And you can't measure what you can't count. So you need to put it out there for you. So, okay, Miss Etta, I do have some time today. Oh, you two C Corps. Interesting. Okay. So I do have some time today. If you want to talk this evening, because I feel like I've been talking for 6 hours straight, no lie. I was talking for like 3 hours before I got on here. So if you want to talk this evening, we can definitely talk this evening, or we can talk sometime tomorrow. Just IM me a number, and when you're available tomorrow, not if I'm calling you tomorrow, and I'll call you. So okay, you definitely can go from a home to a center. Our last person, Shay, that went from a home to a center, when I met her, she was making $250 a week. And her first year in her center, she grossed $250,000. So it is possible. Antoinette, can you schedule a discovery call through my site? Through our website, the call booking through our website, we have consultations on the website where if you want specific information, and you know what you want to know, and you want us to answer specific questions or look at your information, and it is a fee attached to that. That's what you book through our website. But if you just want to book an actual discovery call, a quick discovery call, then this would be my husband just dropped it. That would be the link to just book an actual discovery call. That link is not on my website, I don't think. No, you don't want to email. You just go ahead and click the link, Antoinette, and you can set it up for when it works for you. And then that'll be all the times that we have available. And then you will be able to pick one that's going to work best for you on there. So I think I have all of the comments. So for those of you that I'm going to be talking to, or I'm going to be seeing you Saturday, as a reminder, I would like everybody to come prepared or be prepared with a notebook. Make sure you have pen and paper. If you have your own financial statements, meaning your profit and loss and your balance sheet, print them out on paper, bring it with you. If you have specific questions about financials, I want you to bring them with you too, because I find that we learn best when we can relate what we're learning to what we already have. And then it'll be much easier for you to go ahead and implement what you learn, what you're going to take away. So, like I always say, and all you're getting, you want to make sure you get understanding. If you were signed up on QuickBooks, maybe you jacked it up. That's okay. Go ahead and log in and look at what you've done. and follow or print it out so that you can follow along. It's difficult to follow along on the computer while you're talking. Year to date or last year, it really doesn't matter. I probably will look at last year, print them both out. Even if you got to print on landscape, look at last year, look at this year. Don't get fancy and run the comparative financial statements to compare last year to this year and all of that, because you want to be able to just clearly look at it and see what you're looking at. I would suggest running the profit and loss by month so you can see all of your months laid out. And at the end, of course, the total will be there. And for the balance sheet, just run it with an end date of December 31st for 2019 and run it for April 30th if you're going to bring your 2020. So then, and if you do have questions ahead of time, like I said, make sure you bring them with you, email them to us with Healthy Daycare Financials in the subject line. And if we get them before tomorrow evening, we may be able to incorporate them into the slides. But y'all only gave me 2 hours. Y'all told me I couldn't talk more than 2 hours. So we got to pack a whole lot into a little bit of time. Okay? So again, I appreciate you all. You all rock. You are amazing. Don't worry about what these governors are doing or not doing. It's going to get better. There are still opportunities in the pandemic, and this is still a good time to think and to recoup and regroup, and we are going to be okay, y'all. Okay? So I will see you all soon. Thank you so much for your time.